And you need to, to follow up. I just recently read a book from Jeff Livingston, who was interviewed, and with a forward by Brian Solis, who was also interviewed, called "Now Is Gone," and they emphasize within the book a lot. Participation is marketing. You just take it, talk to the people, get yourself involved in the conversation. It really reinforces the trust in the brand and who you are. And I mean, that's the way people are doing it. A lot of people are a little more skeptical of traditional media, and I completely don't blame them. Being involved and making them feel like, we're just people and we're people too, and we want to improve that experience and take everything that you say into account. I mean, that's extremely important. And I guess the third thing is engagement. I mean, it kind of puts both of these together. You want to be actively engaged, understand, be be completely consistent. It's not a one-time thing. Search. A lot of people, I come from the background where a lot of people are talking about search engine optimization. Search engine optimization is not just a one-time only type of job. Social media at the same time is not something that you just put it on autopilot and expect it to work. So you need to be actively engaged and consistently engaged. If you start a blog, don't just write like 3 blog posts and assume that that's it. You need to follow up, because you're going to start making the users are going to have expectations, and you need to meet those expectations. Because if you don't, I mean, they might lose faith in what you have to offer for them, and they'll move on to somebody else. So that's what I would put together. I mean, there's so many different things, but I think that those are like the key points for me. Community, consistency, and participation are really, really key.
Now tell us specifically about some of the social networks that you participate in, and kind of when you talk about them, kind of tell us your approach to them and their flavor and how they're useful to you as a social media marketer.
All right. First of all, I'm going to start by saying that, interestingly enough, I wasn't, I never really came into this with a marketing mindset. I came into this with it's always been, I'm a student of psychology. I majored in computer science because I wanted that computer background. And I minored in psychology with a desire to understand like what people like. And I had time during some of my past lives to study out social media sites, and it's always been fascinating to me to see how people using like sites like Dig were converting. And I realized, oh my God, I could do this too. Studying the psychology is extremely important. So with that said, before I even started working with social media consulting, I was never doing this, but I was studying studying the communities, and the first community that I really started with was Dig, and I started about April of 2007. Within, I think, what was it, 2000? Yeah, within like 3 or 4 months, I was a top Dig user. I mean, that's out of I don't know, a couple million users, and I was within the top 100. Right now, there's a list that's sort of out of date, but I'm number 42 with, I think, 265 stories promoted to the front page. Now, that's not to say I use it that much anymore, because I kind of declared that Dig jumped the shark in January. But I was able to learn so much from that experience. And one of the primary things that I learned was that, what I previously said, understanding the community and being consistent and building your power account. I mean, that's sort of marketing yourself on Dig. I think I kind of did do that very well, because, I was consistently participating and working with the people in the community and really knowing who they are. I mean, I had a couple of meetings with people. I mean, it's a closer community than most people think. So starting with Dig, I built up that profile. I spent, significant time doing that. And I think that there's a lot of ways to sort of leverage that in marketing, but it's really, you can't just throw something up on Dig and ask all your friends to vote upon it and, call it a day. I mean, still, what it comes down to is understanding what diggers want. And I mean, there's a lot of study and I didn't know it overnight. I didn't understand it overnight. You see my first couple stories that I submit to Dig, and they are like, I don't even know if you should pull that up while you work with your screencasts. I mean, there's some really really lousy stories there, but over time I learned, and I built up the credibility to become where I was. So that, I mean, that's sort of my kind of background into Dig, and that was a site that I think really kind of put me where I'm comfortable talking about like what works in social media. I also use pretty regularly StumbleUpon. My account is tamar.stumbleupon.com. My avatar is a goat. I'm sure you'd love to show it to everybody. It's actually it's with goat with braces. It's a little different. But I love StumbleUpon because there's also an incredible community there. There's a lot of discovery, and I think, and something that I've noticed more recently than not was that if you're consistently discovering new pages and writing reviews for these pages, you'll do a lot better than if you just like hit the thumbs up sign on thumbs up button on every single type of content. That you really, it's more of an active engagement versus more of a passive engagement, just hitting that thumbs up button. So that's a site that I believe that's great for self-discovery. It's also great because being a blogger and everything, I do look for content that meets certain tag criteria. If for Lifehacker, I might be looking for something on productivity or Windows freeware or something like that. So you have something like that, a tool that really meets the need, and I could find it. Similarly, I use Delicious for bookmarking and self-discovery. I'm not, I don't really consider it too much of a community so much, but definitely, there is that element there. I mean, Delicious, the homepage, it's kind of, the wisdom of the crowds. What's the best content? And it all is on the popular and front page. So that's a site that I use pretty often, but not like in terms of, I don't consider it the community that StumbleUpon or Dig type what they are. There is also Mix. It's sort of like its own little Dig. I don't know if I really should have said that, but what I love about Mix is that the guys behind it, Chris McGill and Kerry, they are extremely receptive to feedback, and they're trying to build a site that really meets that social news mindset where everybody can feel comfortable, and they take advice very seriously. So I mean, I use that. I think that there's a very small but close-knit community there, and I mean, I absolutely love that. And then I'll say just smaller things like Reddit. I use Reddit for social news, and I don't use it as frequently as some other people, but it's based on a karma system, and the more upvotes you get, the better karma you get, so I mean that's definitely something that I would say is something that you can look at as well. As if you understand that community, you can do very well in terms of votes and get a lot of visitors and a lot of people who can be aware of whatever you have to say. And then when it comes to those are sort of the marketing for a lot of different companies or whatever you would be doing. But then if you want to self-market, there's a lot of sites like FriendFeed. FriendFeed could still market your company, but you can also build up your own profile. There's Twitter. There's Plurk, there's Facebook. I mean, there's no shortage of those types of sites where you can claim your identity and start building content to talk about who you are. And I guess that kind of summarizes it. I know that might have been a little lengthier than you wanted, but I do think that there's just so many different places to go, and I think those are more of the mainstream ones. I mean, there's a lot more niche ones like Yahoo Answers. I'm pretty active on as of late because you really can share URLs with individuals to answer particular questions. Like for example, someone will ask, "Oh, how do I repair this computer?" And you can point them to an article that you wrote about fixing the computer that completely addresses the problem, and you'll get voted the best answer and get some visitors out of there and some awareness. So I mean that's a tool as well that can be leveraged very efficiently in the social media sphere. I mean there's just so many things there. I could be talking about this for